Hey, Mike Castle from Archive Stereo. And today is a little fun sort of thing here because what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate a old record changer, the portable record changer, which you could, carry by its little molded handle and take to parties. Some of them were pretty extensive. And like this one, the GE Wildcat, just kind of a entry level sort of thing here. Let me pull this down. The handle's split and you pull it down, and there you go. You've got the table. So I do want to mention a couple of things about this. This is not the one that I had from my youth, but it's very similar, except the speakers on the other one were detachable, different brand and things like that. I'll mention that more specifically in the video as we get into it. But the other thing that I do want to talk about with this is this record stand here. That record stand, that was the record stand from our youth. That was the stand that we kept the old player on, the one that we actually had. Again, this one I picked up a couple of years ago. Thankfully, it was working. But yeah, so this is, and dirty too. The old record stand that we used to use. So anyway, join me for the video, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. We're also going to talk about all the old records that we used to listen to as well. Okay, so one way to kick it old school with the record changer, the portable record player, and this was not the same type that my brother had that I grew up with, but it is similar. My brother's had detachable speakers. These are fixed. My brother's was a Voice of Music. This one is a GE. But what we would do here, and I hope I'm not in the way on this, I didn't really plan this out. We would get the record on the spindle. In this case, I think I have to pull it back a little bit there. Make sure that the tone arm wasn't, down too much. And let me see, on I think is upward. And so we would just do this, and I think it's spinning. I hear something. Yeah, it's spinning. See if I got it. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Ah, there we go. And this is what my favorite thing would be to play. This is a song called Desperation. I loved hearing this. I'm not going to play it very much, but the sound is not horrible. That was hitting the, I think it was reject or whatever, and then it would stop. And that's how you did it. That's how we played the 33s back in the day, okay? And next up, 45s. As I said, my brother had a Voice of Music, and for years I knew exactly where the Voice of Music 45 adapter was. The only thing I had left from that, but now I have no idea where it is. I cleaned up the house and I have no idea where it is, but one day I'll find it again, but it was maybe under there for all I know. But so this 45 adapter is a little bit different and not as elegant as the other one. And I never remember exactly how this goes, but I'll just see which way it fits. It's got to be one way, right? There it goes. Just feel around until it goes in there. We'll just do a couple. You were able to put, I think, 6 or 7 of these on there, as I recall, at least on the Voice of Music one. And, oh, all right. Hey, this is in real time. Bear with me. Because, oh, maybe I need to, I can't imagine that it does anything at this, but we'll see. Is that at the 45? Okay. It's also 78 on this. Let's see. All right. It might work. We'll see. We'll see. Make sure that that tone arm isn't down. Kick it up. One drops. Beautiful. Oh, no. I didn't get the size right. Okay, hold on. That's kind of funny, actually. And I know what I did wrong. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Ruined the needle there. Just reject it. Okay. All right, now I know what I'm doing here. This is set to, this needs to be set to 7-inch, sorry. All right. I don't know, maybe I'll edit that out, maybe I'll leave it in, but just in case I edit it out, let me just say, you put the adapter on. You can put up to about 6 of these 45s. That arm kind of holds them up there. I've got it on 45. I set the thing, and I just kick it on, and there we go. Now it should work properly. And this is the Jackson 5. One of my favorites to hear. Speed's a little off. Let's reject that. And then another of my favorites. I'm going to talk about all these in a moment, but this one you'll know right away. I'm finger snapping there too. So anyway, that's how we did it. That's how we did it back in the day. 45s and 33 RPM. And I love this little player. This is the what is this? This is the stereo solid state GE Wildcat, and it is such a Wildcat. But I enjoy listening to this, and sometimes I will just put on, you know, some 45s just to get that old feel. And that's when, and this goes back to my video on being an audiophile or in the audiophile mode. I reference this stuff. This is how we listened to it back in the day. And obviously, we didn't care about sound quality, right? This is about just getting the music out in the best way that we could, and the only way we could. We didn't know what was coming up. Yes, of course, back when we were listening to this in the late 60s, early 70s, yes, of course, there was high fidelity out there. But this is what my father could afford when he got this as a present. Not this particular one, not this particular brand, but when he got this as a present for my brother. And so, and of course, we shared a room, so we shared the music. And when I was lucky, we got to listen to things I wanted. But fortunately, what I had to do was I had to develop a taste for his music, which I did because I think he was listening to good stuff. He usually liked more rocky stuff. I want to talk about that stuff next. So I want to spend some time talking about the records that I used to listen to as a kid. A number of these were my brother's, but a lot of the ones that he thinks were his are mine that I purchased. But I do have to say that, gosh, I had these. Okay, so the first record that I remember is Louie Louie. I mean, on this is my brother's, and we played this, you know, because of all of the thoughts and rumors about, you know, what the lyrics were saying on this. This was, I remember my brother and my cousin, who was a couple of years older than my brother was 5 years older than me, talking about this song and what it meant. But so this was a big one that we listened to often, and I think that's the actual disc. Another one that I recall, actually I'm going to do this one first because this was like one of my favorite ones to listen to, and it was "I Want You Back" by the Jackson 5 with that glissando on the keys on the piano that starts out. It just speed's a little off. Oh man, I mean this was an incredible listening experience as well. We could hear it on the radio, but it was nice to be able to play it ourselves. One of my favorite songs, and still to this day on the Universal label, the Uni label, Build Me Up Buttercup by The Foundation. And, you know, I love this. I love the colors of this. I love everything about this. And I remember it fondly. I just listened to it a moment ago, and it was great. 45s have A-sides and B-sides, but it was hard to tell what was the A-side and the B-side. In other words, the more popular one, the one they were promoting, was Sly and the Family Stone, because every song was amazing. I mean, it's me and my brother used to joke about it. You know, there's not a bad side. There's not Sly and the Family Stone can't make a bad song. In this case, it was Sing a Simple Song and one of my favorites, Everyday People. And we had so much fun with these. I mean, it's amazing. This one here, it actually has Fortunate Son on it, but I remember it for the big hit, Down on the Corner. Loved the fantasy label, CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, when we knew him by that, and Fogerty's voice. I mean, just amazing stuff. Another one that I really liked, we were big fans of Three Dog Night. Oh, that's one LP that I don't have, that I do have somewhere else, which I'll try to insert it here. But one beautiful beautiful song, and Chest Fever on the other side. Dun, 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 dun. We listened to these. Oh, and we were, you know, like I said with Sly and the Family Stone and stuff, we listened to a lot of soul here. And again, this is another one. Ball of Confusion by the Temptations. It's Summer. I don't recall that one that much, but Ball of Confusion, great song. I remember that, and another song called Psychedelic Shack that we also had on 45. For those of you who like treasure records and things like that, what you have to understand is these were in a very ill-kept place in my basement for years and years and years, without their little pants that they wear, without their sleeve. And so you gotta, you know, I mean, yeah, this is how we're handling the records, but they still sound good on the cheap player that I've got right there behind me. This was one of my absolute favorite songs, and I'll talk about the Woodstock album itself. But this is a Joni Mitchell song, but Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young covered it in time. They were a big part of the Woodstock album as well. They had more songs than anybody else. And in many ways, and it was also an Atlantic record. It was on Cotillion label, but it was Cotillion imprint on the Atlantic label. And I don't know, I've always thought, I've never done any research on this, but I've always thought that it was really a big device, at least on the part of the record company, to introduce Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young to America. But the Woodstock song is wonderful. The Joni lyrics, Joni Mitchell lyrics on this are great. Joni Mitchell actually couldn't make it to Woodstock. She was supposed to be there, so she wrote that song off the top of her head. One of the best rock songs ever. I think a one-hit wonder. What's the group? Free. Of course, All Right Now. And I think I have a little snippet of that in one of the clips here. I'm finger snapping there too. This was a song that I had to get. I loved it on the radio. Was from the group called Chairman of the Board. Give Me Just a Little More Time. My brother actually used to make a little fun of it because they had a part in it. Literally, that was part of the lyrics. And he would kind of laugh at that and wonder why I like this thing. But this, he's come to love this too. This is an absolute great song. I have to tell you this. There are so many versions out there, streamed on CD, whatever, of The Letter by Joe Cocker. Nobody covered a song like Joe Cocker. You can get mad at me if you want, but I think the Beatles songs that he covered are much more beautiful when Joe Cocker covers them, like Something or let's see, what was it? Did he do Yesterday? I don't think he did Yesterday, but he did it. He did a number of She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. I think his cover of that is better. But his cover of The Letter is absolutely amazing. And this is, I remember going to a place called Smith Bridgman's, and a lot of department stores had like the mezzanine level, and their record store was in that. I remember buying this. This is not the one that I bought, but because I couldn't find that, but I did buy this again, and I searched and searched because I want the studio version. The studio version has a great sax solo in it. It's just amazing the way that this song really went to church. But more important, Matthew Moore wrote a song that I think is actually the secret to life, and it's called Space Captain. Look it up on YouTube. The lyrics are amazing. I love that song. The Letter still gets me for the A-side, and that was the A-side, but Space Captain is an amazing song. You should listen to it. it was great. Always getting the picture discs, picture sleeves, excuse me. This one of Three Dog Night. I told you we were fans. Mama told me not to come. Great, great song. Used to beg my brother to play that one. Instant Karma by on the Apple label with this was John Lennon and the Yoko Ono band, John Ono Lennon, and this was great. And then it was backed with Yoko song and Who Has Seen the Wind. Instant Karma, great song, and of course the classic, also John Lennon, Cold Turkey. This was the type of song that you put on and played, and it has that ending part where he's, you know, like going through the throes of kicking off addiction and like that. And my mom would come in invariably, turn that off, this crazy music, and not turn it down. Turn it off. I'm sick of this stuff. But aside from that, a great song. I love, you know, how it's play loud. You know, I mean, it's just so the label, everything. I love that. I'm not a big Beatles fan, but and so that was kind of the 45s there, and I'm sure I'm missing a number that we used to listen to. The very first album I believe that my brother ever bought was this debut Steppenwolf album. I used to think the title of it was Stereophonic because it was telling us that. That's how little about audio I knew back in the day. On the Dunhill record label, ABC Dunhill, it even smelled. It had a, I mean, when you played it, you could smell the vinyl. That's one thing I'll never forget about this. That amazing picture of them on the back. This is the one that has on side A Born to Be Wild, which is the one that everybody wanted. It's even advertised on here. That was the hit. But we loved side B, Desperation. The sound is not horrible. And then the Pusher, the Ostrich, but Desperation. And that was the little clip that we had. My brother thinks that this is his. It is not, because he had in the back his initials on it. I bought this. Okay, so that is not my brother's. When you are from Flint, Michigan, and there's a band that is at one time the biggest band in the country, that they could fill Madison Square Gardens with a show that looked like that. This was when music was music. No lights, you know, a fog machine, 3 instruments. I think there was. I'm talking, of course, about Grand Funk Railroad, what I think is their finest album, Closer to Home. This was their third album. It was, I think, the last one or second to last that they did in Cleveland. The first 3 records were made at a studio in Cleveland. But these guys were from Flint, Michigan, where I'm from, and where I was within the city limits of Flint, Michigan. We were listening to the biggest band in America, Grand Funk Railroad, and that meant even more. That meant even more that we were in Flint. I mean, I'm sure other people have memories of it. I love this album. I still love this album. It's, you know, kind of dated, but I do love it. When I was talking about Steppenwolf, another big one was Monster. There was the radio version of this, but this had the big full version of Monster, and it was great. Not a bad album at all. These guys were very scary to me when I was a little 7 or 8 year old kid. Santana Abraxas. This album, I think, is one of the finest, from beginning to end, both sides, side A, side B, one of the best albums ever. And of course, that center shot there, which with the packaging, I think that's what I miss most about stuff with streaming and CDs, is you don't get this incredible packaging that you could hold on end. Machine Head, this of course has Smoke on the Water, but again, great cover-to-cover album that is amazing. And again, not my brother's copy, if he's watching, because I bought this used for $2.99, and it had a barcode on it. When we were buying these, they didn't have a barcode. This one may be my brother's. I'm not sure. But Iggy Pop and the Stooges, aka just the Stooges at this point. This was Funhouse. I really liked this album, especially the first side. I know they had a big song called 1969. Well, side 2 on this one came out in 1970 or late 69, and the song was 1970. 69 was like 1969, okay, or something like that. And then Get Out of My Mind Now on this one, 69, 1970, blows in line, or something like that. Beautiful. Love this. I mean, mostly side 1. Here's this. I just love this idea of the studio, and if you can see the bass here, which I don't even know what brand that is, but someone comment and tell me what brand of bass that is. But just the studio mics and all that. I want to go back for a second because when I used to look at the Closer to Home album, I loved it when Don Brewer, who's the drummer, had the mic stand there, the boom. I don't know why that fascinated me. The coiled cord in this picture fascinated me. And by the way, I do have to say, Mel Shacker, one of the most underrated bass players of our time. I think he was Jocko before Jocko. Great album. More, it's from Motown. It was on Rare Earth imprint, but it was 1970 Motown. Rare Earth, Born to Wander, Long Time Leaving, I'm Losing You. I mean, just classic, beautiful hits on here. Uriah Heep, the original Uriah Heep. Some of it, well, it's so, in some places, operatic, very pretentious in parts, but I still love that album. A matter of fact, one of the songs on here, Come Away Melinda, that's a beautiful song. This was another album I just begged my brother to play, Edgar Winter's White Trash, and it wasn't hard to get him to play it because, of course, he loved it too. Both sides, beautiful album from beginning to end. Love their vocals. Two of my favorite songs in the world. One, Save the Planet, which is really cool. Again, very churchy. This whole album is very, churchy, gospel-y. But Dying to Live, that song is just amazing. Why am I dying to live if I'm just living to die? Brownsville Station, they were a fun group. I believe they were from Ann Arbor, Michigan. We didn't know it at the time. Michael Lutz, the lead vocals on this, and Cub Coda was the big, the outlandish guy that we all loved. But there is a song on here that I've covered before called Jonah's Here to Stay. I've covered it on acoustic guitar and toned it down a little bit. If you get a chance, go to YouTube, look up Jonah's Here to Stay, Brownsville Station. This is the A Night on the Town. They had a phase, I think, where they were doing some Marx Brothers films. This, I think, is my brother's. The Bloodshot album by one of my favorite groups, at least in the first few albums, Jay Giles Band. And the big thing about this was, and this we do treat very well, it was color red vinyl. And I remember when my brother brought it home, and we did not know that it was on red vinyl. And so that was just an added sort of thing. But this has a lot of great Jay Giles stuff. It's not as good as what I think of their best album. And no, it's not the Love Stinks album. That I usually stopped liking groups when they became poppy. Even when I was a little kid, I could recognize that. But of course, the live Full House album, that again, where they were at Detroit. So, it was amazing. Oh, the MC5 album, the one with Kick Out the Jams. We actually have the one that is, the one that swears. And that's my brother's album. And surprisingly not worth that much. I used to beg my brother to play this because I wanted to hear the Charlie Brown song. Of course, that was the piano solo on the song Jessica. But again, just front to back, great. Great album. Great album. These are the things that influenced me so much. My brother came home with Where Have I Known You Before, as well as Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy. Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy came out before this, but these were Return to Forever songs. Return to Forever albums. This one is not the one with Al Di Meola. Where Have I Known You Before is. Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy has Bill Connors on it, who was on the one thing. This is kind of the original Electric Band, but I like, a matter of fact, one of my favorite albums in the world is Where Have I Known You Before, and for some reason I don't have it with me. I think it's in the other studio, but my brother came home from college in Ann Arbor, and he said, I'm bringing some jazz. Oh, cool, I'm going to listen to it. I was thinking what jazz, again, to my little 10, 11-year-old brain, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I was thinking, doom, doom, doom. And then this stuff comes on. But it didn't take me more than a listen to say, this was it. And it was this album that I listened to first. This was the game changer in my life. This is what made me love instrumentals, love jazz rock fusion. I was never really a big fan of Ricky Nelson, but this album means more to me, and this is the one, but it's mine. My mom saw a commercial for this, and it was from Sessions, and she bought it for me as a surprise, and I don't know, maybe I'd wanted something else, and she didn't get it for me, and she felt bad, but I actually love this album, and I love the songs on it. It made me a Ricky Nelson fan. It had a lot of really great songs, especially later on, but it's a 2-record set, and because my mom ordered it and gave it to me, this album I will never part with, and like I said, this is the one my mom bought, so I love that. Probably the most important album in my life, well, the Woodstock 3-record set. This one is my brother's, and you can have it back, but 3-record set. And I think the thing that I loved about this, and why maybe I wanted to be a performer at one time, was just this 3-piece gatefold. Giant picture. I mean, I would look at this for hours. And I loved everything about this back cover here with the lovers in the water, and of course and this was designed really to be played on a record changer, because you have side 1 and 6. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, so that you could flip it over on the changer. I might have had that wrong, but you can see it and know what I mean. But anyway, I have this. You cannot find this streaming for some reason. I can't find it anywhere. I have the old CD of it, and because this record was just so worn. I mean, it's click and pop city. It might be fun to listen to it on the old thing where sound doesn't really matter. But anyway, so that's some of the albums that I grew up with, some of the things that influenced me. I will have to say on Woodstock, let's go over what were some of the favorites. All of side 1, starting with John Sebastian, Canned Heat, Richie Havens, Country Joe and the Fish. Oh my gosh, you're a little kid and you're hearing the Fish cheer, which comes up on side 2. Joan Baez we didn't like at the time, because it was slower and folky, but I've come to really love that a lot. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Nash, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, then Neil Young joins in Sea of Madness, and then Wooden Ships continues on the 3rd side. The Who, of course, great. Joe Cocker, with a little help from my friends. That was the other Beatles cover I was thinking of. Watch the movie and watch his performance of it. It's unbelievable. Santana with The Soul Sacrifice. 10 years after I'm going home. Oh my God, side 4. This is just amazing. Jefferson Airplane, Sly and the Family Stone, and John B. Sebastian on side 5. And then, of course, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band and Jimi Hendrix ending it out. And this is the one that has Star Spangled Banner on it as well, including also Purple Haze and that instrumental, which is so moving. I spent a lot of my life in listening to this album a lot of my life. The only other album that I've listened to as much, if not more, is the Al Jarreau Live in Europe album, and I'll put an insert of that. But again, that was listening to it later when I had a better stereo. So this is kind of the stuff we listened to, and how we did it on this old thing, and we loved the music. And it didn't matter, how clear or wonderful it was. It didn't matter how clear or wonderful it was. It was just we were listening to the music and it was wonderful to us.